Hey guys, Rick Stone here from Our Stony Acres. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Please make sure you subscribe, and when you do, click that notification bell so that you get noticed when I release new videos, which is several times a month. Today we are going to be continuing our April planting guide series, and this is the series for those of you that live in zones 3 and 4 and what you ought to be doing gardening related in zones 3 and 4. Now I recognize I live in a zone 6. You can see it's a beautiful, nice, warm day for us. It's about 65 degrees. Very, very nice. And I recognize that those of you that live in zones 3 and 4 are still probably pretty cold. I would imagine you might still have snow on the ground, and so there's not a ton that can be happening outdoors. But there's a lot that can be happening indoors this month, during the month of April. So kind of let's hit the list here. Remember, before we start, that you want to be looking for your frost date. So if you don't know when your frost date is, it ought to be, for those of you that live in zones 3 and 4, it ought to be somewhere around, you know, May 15th to June 1st, somewhere in that zone. Look it up. If you just go out and Google your area, your city, and say, when is my last frost date, you should be able to get a pretty good estimate of when that frost date is. And we're going to be kind of targeting our planting based on that. So cool season crops go in 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost date. Warm season crops can't go in until that frost date unless they have some protection. Okay, so here we go. Those of you that live in zones 4, you ought to be planting quite a bit indoors. So you should be looking at tomatoes indoors, peppers indoors. Probably could maybe slip some onions in. It's getting a little bit late for onions, but you might still be able to pull that off. You could be starting peas indoors, spinach, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, lettuce, Asian greens. All of those could still be planted indoors, so that you're getting those ready to go out when things warm up a little bit. And if you live in zone 4 and your garden has cleared out a little bit and you don't have any snow, there are a few things that you could be planting outdoors as well. So again, if your soil's workable, snow's gone, even if there's still a threat of snow, it's okay. You can plant these. They're hardy enough that they'll be able to stand up to that. It's just a matter of whether you can actually get out in your garden and get it planted. But again, this is probably for those of you in zones 4 in April. You could probably plant some lettuce, beets, radishes, spinach, really all of your leafy greens, arugula, kale, Swiss chard, anything like that. And then you could also be planting your peas as well. So you can get those in, again, because all of those, even if they start to come up and it snows again or you get some frost, that's okay. They're hardy enough that they'll be able to handle it. So those are some things that you can be planting by seed outdoors in zone 4 during the month of April. Now, if you live in zone 3, unfortunately, you're probably pretty cool still in zone 3, and you're probably quite a ways off from that last frost date. And so you may, again, if your garden clears out, you could probably go out and get some of the lettuce and leafy greens, radishes, beets, carrots, anything like that you could get planted if things clear out. But you really need to be focusing on getting things started indoors now. So all of the things that we listed before, and then also, you could be doing lettuce and spinach, Swiss chard, Asian greens indoors to transplant out later if you want as well. So lots of stuff that you can start doing, and I recognize you guys are a lot colder than we are, but you can get a head start now by planting things indoors and even a few things outdoors. Again, if your garden clears out enough and dries out, you don't want to be out there working wet soil, but if it dries out enough that you can get a few seeds in, go ahead and get them in, because all of those cool season crops are hardy enough that even if they came up and you got snow again or frost or really cold nights, they'd be okay. So yeah, get going. April is a good time to get things started, and especially indoors. You're going to be doing a lot of indoor planting during the month of April in zones 3 and 4. Okay, so that is our April planting guide for zones 3 and 4. Please remember to check back. We're going to be doing one of these every month for the entire year of 2020, so that you guys have a good idea of what you can be planting each month in your gardens. So again, zones 3 and 4, get going. There's some good stuff happening. Okay. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel and click that notification bell when you do, so that you get noticed every time I release a new video, which is several times a month. All right, that's all I have for you for this week. Everybody have a great week. Happy gardening.